What's up, Bulldogs? All right, today I'm gonna show you an instance of what I call the lying. Don't get me wrong here. I want to preface this by saying I'm not hating on this guy in this email. In fact, I'm trying to help him, and I'm not intending to mean this as an insult to him. I want you guys to see this so you can see when you're doing it, because I believe that the gentleman who wrote me this email, that he doesn't even realize that he's lying to himself. If you guys are just joining me for the first time, I'm John from BulldogMindset.com. On this channel, I teach you how to be a man. I teach you how to build financial independence, how to get the physique you want, how to get the girls you want, how to go from the victim mindset to the Bulldog mindset. All right. If you haven't already, click the subscribe button, because you need to buckle up. You're going for a ride, buddy, whether you like it or not. And click the bell so you get notifications when the videos come out, because they don't always show up in YouTube in the search or the notifications. And also click the card up here to take the Bulldog quiz, because you want to know what your Bulldog score is, don't you? All right, so we're going to jump right into this. So he says, "Hey John, big fan of your channel and really enjoy the content you bring." Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I almost feel a little bit guilty for what I'm about to do. So he said, "I had a question regarding when to show compassion as a man and how to do so. I would appreciate if you kept my email address anonymous. I'll do my best to keep this brief." Okay. "So I've been told that I'm extremely blunt, cold, and detached. I used to be a, quote, nice guy until I discovered the manosphere and red pill about a decade ago." Okay, I'm just going to read it the first time through, and then we're going to jump back here. But I want you guys to pay attention to certain language and see if you can discover any patterns here. "Something that I've never been able to get right in all that time was when to show compassion and how to do so that is appropriate for a man. Without trying to sound cheesy, I've always wanted to make a positive impact on the world, but I don't know how to do that without being perceived that I am desperate and needy. How can you be a good person but still remain attractive to the opposite sex? How do you show compassion as a man without it being perceived that you want something or are needy and desperate nice guy? What is the distinction between being a, quote, good man and being a, quote, nice guy? Thank you for your time. And again, thanks for your content, the content you bring." Okay. So Brian seems like a cool guy, right? Nothing, that would make me say this guy's not a decent person who I would like to know. All right. But if I mean, you guys tell me, right? Maybe if you want to pause the video and leave a comment, we'll pretend like you can't cheat, and tell me, what do you perceive about Brian from this email? Like, what can you get from this about the email? All right. Or about Brian. All right. Then you're gonna see my reply. I said, "Hi, Brian. If you can spot the pattern here." And I showed him my Instagram, where if you haven't joined my Instagram, go check it out. I've got a lot of good information there. Called the classic pattern of 1, problem, weakness. I want to learn how to be a man and capable of violence. 2, counter or lie, but I want to beat up 3 guys with a metal baton. Okay. And I talked about this, why are you lying? We all lie, but this is a common pattern I have, right? It starts with someone admitting some problem or weakness to me that they need help on, but then they immediately provide a counter example to say why that problem or weakness is not actually a problem or weakness and why it's not their fault. It's so predictable and so obvious that I don't even bother to humor it at all anymore. I just straight up call it out. Now, don't get me wrong. I get it. It's human nature, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So you can read the whole thing on there if you want. But anyway, I sent him this and I said, in your own email, you can spot the pattern. I might do a video on this anyway, but tell me what you think after looking at this post and comparing it to your email. So he replied back, "I'm not so sure I completely understand it. I'll admit my ego is very fragile, which absolutely sucks. And how do I make it bulletproof was another question I have, but I was going to do some more research on it before posing a question to you." So obviously Brian is smart, because he watched my video yesterday, okay, on "You're Not an Influencer." If you haven't watched that video, go watch that video, because he's doing things the right way. Is it that I am still seeking approval from others, but coming at it from a different angle? Yes. Good. We've got some self-actualization here. Some understanding, self-awareness here is what I mean to say. "I'm generally not playing dumb or trying to waste your time, but I don't understand." And I agree. I don't think you're playing dumb. I don't think you're trying to waste my time. I appreciate the respectful manner in which you address this and have grappled this. But now we're going to go ahead and tackle this and look at and see this. So remember from the Instagram, this is the pattern. Now there's some variations of this pattern, which you'll see. There's like the opposite. This could be flipped. Okay. so that it's the weakness is being presented as a strength, and then there's some giving on this, but it's essentially this pattern of presenting this false information about what your real problem is. All right. Or saying that your problem is not actually a problem when you just said you need help with the problem. All right. So let's see what Brian's done here. So he says this: I've been told that I'm extremely blunt, cold, and detached. Okay. So guys, do you feel like Brian is extremely blunt, cold, and detached? Okay. What he's basically saying is, and he says it right here, because I used to be a nice guy. So now he's saying, I have been told that I'm an asshole. I have to call bullshit on this. No one's told you this. No one's told you this. People aren't coming up to you and saying, you're the opposite of a nice guy, Brian. You're extremely blunt, cold, and detached. Now, maybe at some point someone said that, and perhaps it was because you're trying to come off that way, that you're trying to appear that way, and they threw you a bone. Because they're like, okay. So what I'm saying about this, again, it's maybe someone has, okay, but in general, people are not perceiving you as this. No one in this audience is perceiving you. No one who's watching this video is perceiving you as blunt, cold, and detached. You want to be blunt, cold, and detached. You want to be an asshole, and you want to believe that you are. Right? You just came out of nice guy. Says, I used to be a nice guy until I discovered the manosphere and red pill about a decade ago. Brian, you're still a nice guy. Okay? By the way you wrote this email, by the way you replied to my email, you're a nice guy. Now, you're not a complete walked over blue pill guy. I get that. I get that. But you have to let enough of the ego go. Remember, you said here, I admit my ego is very fragile, to just admit that you want to be this blunt, cold, and detached. You want to have the problem of feeling like you're just this guy, he's just like ice. I don't know, guys. He's like ice. He's so blunt and cold and detached. But all right, guys. So that's what I'm talking about, is that he is like pretending this. He wants to be this. It's fine. But it's not a noble thing to want to be. You don't necessarily need to be blunt, cold, and detached. Okay, so there's a false problem here. So I don't know what question to answer here, because he's saying, okay, so let's move on. Something I've never been able to get right in all that time was to show compassion and how to do so that's appropriate for a man. See, okay, I'm going to flip it, right? I think this is a lie. I think it's the opposite. I think your problem is the opposite of what you're telling me your problem is. Okay. And this is my intuition from doing this for a long time and reading a lot of emails and coaching a lot of guys. I could be wrong. It's possible. I've been wrong before. I think Greg Doucette has a higher getting right than I do. By the way, if you haven't clicked the like button, click that. That does help with the YouTube algorithm. Okay. But what I'm saying here is that I think, Brian, your problem is not that you don't know how to show compassion and how to do so when it's appropriate for a man. I think your problem is you're showing too much compassion and you're scared about that. And you're like, I don't know how to not show compassion. I don't know how to actually be a tough guy. If I could be this cold, blunt, and detached guy, then I wouldn't be showing compassion. I'm not that guy. I'm trying to pretend like I'm that guy because I would like to be that guy rather than being the guy that has the problem of being too much of a nice. I read the nice guy book. I understand what a nice guy is. I'm not being a nice guy, but I'm still somehow a nice guy. How the is this happening? Right? Let's break this down. So this is what I think. Again, like I said, I think he's lying about both of these things. I think his problem is the opposite of what he's describing. And so if this is the opposite, then, and this is the opposite, he wants to be more of this. He thinks that's the solution. No, that's not the solution. Okay. Without trying to sound cheesy, I've always wanted to make a positive impact on the world, but I don't know how to do that without being perceived that I am desperate and needy. Okay. If you're worried about being perceived, about being desperate and needy, I think it would make you desperate and needy. That's how it comes across, right? Again, this is not meant to be a slap in the face as I'm making fun of you or anything. It's meant to be a slap in the face as in, hello, wake up. Like, acknowledge these things. Your problem is not that, right? That you're too much of a cold, ice-hearted guy, okay, that laughs in the face of babies crying. That's not your problem. That's what the problem that you're projecting. Your problem is that you are coming across as desperate and needy, and you want to become less desperate and needy in coming across. All right. And pretending to be this blunt and cold and detached guy, it's not working. All right. So let's keep going here. All right. By the way, guys, if you haven't already joined the Bulldog Mindset membership, now's the time to click down the link below and become part of the community. I mean, sometimes I will just call you out in the Discord server and say you're a f***ing liar. That's what I'll do. Again, editors beep the F. But yeah, that's what I might do. Anyway, I've got a lot of lessons in there that will help you to one of them is called the look in the mirror exercise. If you haven't done that already, go sign up. Even if you just sign up for a month to do the trial, to try it out, it'll be worth the looking in the mirror exercise. So that will help you identify these issues that Brian is showing here. So, all right, so go check it out. All right, let me see here. So he says here, okay. So how can you be a good person but still remain attractive to the opposite sex? Is this really the problem? There's a couple of things wrong with this. It's what's built into here. What's built into here is a premise. What is the premise? Okay, that somehow being a good person is somehow related to not being attractive to the opposite sex. That's not true at all. Being a good person has nothing to do with whether you are attractive or have charisma or have game or are perceived in a sexual manner. All right. So how can you be a good person? It's a wrong question, right? By asking this question, you're trying to validate a point that you already have, an assumption. There's an assumption baked into here, which is that there's some connection between this. So stop thinking about this. Like you're making the connection between being a good person and not being attractive. And so you feel like you're not attractive because you're a good person. So what was that other part of my formula? The justification part. So if we go in here and I mean, I've got the 2 steps in here, but we talk about it's in the post anyway. The point is that he's making an excuse for himself as to why it's not his fault. Do you see the connection here, right? Because the reason why he's not attracted to the opposite sex is not because he's not attractive. It's not because he hasn't charisma or game or any of those things or the looks or whatever it is. Okay, it's because he's a good person. That's the thing. That's false. It's not true. And this whole thing is not true in the sense that how can you be attractive, be a good person, but still remain attracted to the opposite sex? Just by doing it. It has nothing to connect. I can't give you the answer to that. Just by being attracted to the opposite sex, right? You don't have to be an asshole. You don't have to not be an asshole. All right. How do you show compassion as a man without it being perceived that you want something or a needy and desperate nice guy? Well, what you're doing is already making you be perceived as a needy and desperate nice guy. Again, not trying to be offensive to you. Just this is how this is coming across. It's not just me that's reading into this. I'm sure that you'll see in the comments. Okay. So how do you show compassion as a man without being perceived? So showing compassion doesn't make you seem like a needy and desperate nice guy. Being needy and desperate. So I talk about this all the time to you guys, right? And I want you to really pay attention to this because this is really important. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. All right. It's how you say things that matter. If you're on a date with a girl, all right, and you are just enamored with her because you're just like, I don't deserve a girl like this. I hope that she likes me. I hope that, that maybe we have sex. I hope that there's that like I don't fuck this up. And gosh, she's so beautiful, the most beautiful girl I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not worthy. Okay, if you have those thoughts in your head and then you say, you're so beautiful. It's amazing, right? All right, let's just say, wow, you're so beautiful. You look so beautiful. Let's say that. All right. What's going to come across is all of those things. It's going to feel like you're like a traction beam, like trying to suck her in, and she's going to be resisting the pull of your tractor beam because your words of saying, oh, you look beautiful tonight or whatever is going to have the neediness behind it. Okay. But if you're this guy that's like, I see a lot of girls. This girl's really attractive. Wow, she's really pretty. Hey, this is going to be a good night. I think this is good just to be here, to be alive, be out with this person. I've got a lot of shit I got to do tomorrow, so I can't stay out too late. So, I got some work and I got a bunch of projects going on. I'm seeing another girl on Thursday night, she'll probably be amazing in a different way. If that's your attitude, and then you see her and you're like, wow, you look beautiful, or you look stunningly beautiful, and you say that, it's going to come across as, I'm saying this as a matter of fact because I say the things that I feel that I want to say. And that's who I am as a man, because I don't care if you like me or not. I'm here to have a good time. If it doesn't work out, not a big deal. I got shit to do tomorrow. I got another girl I'm seeing on Thursday. But hey, you definitely look extremely beautiful. Like, wow, amazing. Okay. When you come across like that, see, it's not the words you're saying. Okay. It's how you're saying it. So again, coming back to this question, right? How do you show compassion as a man without being perceived as that you want something or a needy and desperate nice guy? By not being a needy and desperate nice guy. You can't. So many of you guys are trying to construct things backwards. You're like, how do I change my behaviors so that people think that I'm a different person than I am inside? If you make this face, people will think something about you. Or you have to walk this way. If you say this correct incantation of words, right? You're looking for tactics. Then someone will perceive that you're this kind of person. But guess what? Your internal will betray you. You might be able to somewhat fool a person for a short period of time, but they're going to sense some inconsistency, especially a woman is going to sense that. So stop trying to change your behaviors and start changing internally, right? If you have internally changed yourself that you're not a needy and desperate nice guy, if you have stuff you're doing in your life, right? When I put myself in the frame, right? And notice something, okay? With my talented acting skills, I just want you guys to notice something real quick. I know you may not have seen it because I was so talented with my acting skills, but I want you to notice something, which is this. In order for me to say oh, you look so beautiful, right? Because I can't do it now, right? In a way that was desperate and needy, what did I have to do? I had to put myself in the frame. I had to start saying things that made me feel desperate and needy, so then I could convey it in that way. It would come through in my voice. And then when I wanted to say it as in, I'm going to charm the out of you type of way of saying it, and I'm a cocky bastard, but hey, you know what? I'm just here to have fun. When I wanted to say it in that way, conveying that message, okay, or authenticity, right? I had to put myself into that frame, okay? So that's the key thing, is when you're in the frame, when you truly hold the beliefs of not being needy and desperate, okay, then the words will automatically come across in the correct way. You're not trying to do anything, right? Anytime you're trying to do something, you're not being, right? And so how can you just be? You can't. You have to change internally who you are by what you consume. You're like a cucumber in pickle brine, okay? What you pickle in is what you become, and that's going to change it. So one quick note on that again, I'm going to plug the Bulldog Mindset membership because that's a good place to pickle, all right? You want to become a good pickle. You want to change your mindset and change who you are internally. Stop being needy and desperate. And that's a good environment to be in. All right, so let's wrap this up here. So, all right. So what is the distinction between being a good man and a nice guy? That's the first valid question. See, good, for you to be good as a man, to be a good man, it means that you are a man of principles. Being a nice guy means that you are eager to please other people, that you do things to gain the approval of other people. You see how those are the opposites? It's all about intention, right? A nice guy violates his principles of dignity, of self-respect, of boundaries. He violates other people's boundaries by taking from them, by manipulating, by acting in a covert instead of direct manner, by being inauthentic. All of those are great violations of principles that you should have as a man. But he does all those things. Why? To gain validation, to gain approval, right? To feel some feeling of self-worth. This is why, again, it's so important to not lie to yourself. Because when you lie to yourself, what happens? Well, you have to prove things because you don't believe them. And so you end up violating principles to do that. We'll wrap this up here. Let's take a look at what Brian said here. And I showed you my response, and he said he has some insight here. He said, I'm not sure I completely understand. I'll admit my ego is very fragile. Okay, so he got kind of the heart of what I was saying is, yeah, you're doing an ego protection thing here, buddy. You're trying to pretend to be this cold-hearted, hard-ass guy, all right, who has a problem showing compassion. That's what you want us to believe. That's not your problem. You're not that guy. You're the opposite of that guy. You're a too compassionate, nice guy who feels guilty and feels like he shouldn't be that, and is trying to come across as this cold, heartless guy. And you're trying to grapple with some way that you can continue to be what you perceive as good, which is really nice guy, and still be this alpha male, right? So you want me to tell you how to be able to be compassionate and still be an alpha male, but you're pretending like the problem is that you're the alpha male and now you want to show compassion, where the problem is you're the compassionate nice guy and you want to mix in alpha male to that. That's the problem. That's where we're actually at. So, and how to make it bulletproof was another question I have. And this is good. Okay. But I'll tell you real quick how do you make your ego bulletproof? You give it zero value. Okay. So if you want your ego to be bulletproof, pretend like it's just a piece of trash that got taken out of the trash can. Then you don't care. I don't care. Insult my ego. It's of no value anyway. What is it? It's nothing. Doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? If you value your ego, yeah, then it's going to be fragile. Okay. Anything that you value very highly is fragile. Remember the first time you bought your brand new car? Remember how you closed the door and opened the door and made sure you didn't scratch the handle when you did so, and when you put the key in very carefully so it didn't scratch the outside of the lock? How long did that last? Okay. It's fragile if you perceive it to have high value, right? So he says, is it that I am still seeking approval from others, but coming at it from a different angle? And yes, this is it. Okay. Right? We pointed this out. You're seeking approval from others and you're coming at it from a different angle. You're just hiding the clues. Okay. You're pretending to be the exact opposite of what you are. Okay. It's actually kind of clever, right? Your subconscious is pretty clever. You're pretending to be the exact opposite and presenting the exact opposite problem, knowing that if I can give you the answer to the one, right? You know, we said you're the nice guy, pretending like he's alpha, okay? Who's trying to figure out how to be compassionate, right? It's not true. But if I can teach you how to be the alpha guy and be compassionate, it solves your problem anyway. So then you don't have to ever admit that you're the one. But you're going to apply the wrong thing to your situation, right? It's like taking the antidote. Okay, if you go into the doctor's office, right, and the doctor's like, okay, what are your symptoms, right? And you're like, well, my left knee really hurts bad. It's stiff and I can't move it. And then in reality, it's your right knee, and he gives you a shot to put in for arthritis in your left knee. What's going to happen? It's not going to work. It's not going to do anything, right? And if you go to the doctor, give them the wrong symptoms, maybe you'll get poisoned. That could be a result. So anyway, all right. So I'm not trying to play dumb or waste your time. Okay. But yeah, and most of you guys aren't playing dumb. Again, don't get me wrong, guys. When I'm coming down on you on this stuff, it's not because I'm like better than you. I'm not. It's not because I dislike you and I'm making fun of you. I'm not. It's because I'm trying to help you. Okay. I don't think you're dumb. I don't think you're trying to waste my time. I think most of you genuinely are trapped in your denial. That you're lying to yourself, you're lying to me, you're lying to everyone, and you're not aware of it at a very conscious level. At some conscious level, you're aware of it, but not at a high enough level for you to acknowledge it. And it's my job to kick you directly in the balls as many times as I need to until you stop this bull crap. All right. And so, Yeah, so that's it. So I don't perceive, but so I don't perceive malice in your guys. So don't perceive malice in what I'm doing here. And is it possible that I have Brian Red completely wrong? It's possible. It's unlikely. It's very unlikely, but it's possible. But it doesn't matter, because even if so, there's a dozen Brians out there, and this is a good teaching moment for you to get this concept, right? Because I see this every day. Again, it's not like I just stumbled upon this, right? I mean, I see this pattern. Just about everyone who emails me does this, okay? And when I look back, I was like, do I do this? And I was like, I did do this a lot, right? This was a problem that I had to overcome. So, all right, this is enough for this video. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't liked the video or shared it, this is a good one to share. I think so. I think there's some comic moments in here. There's some drama, some beauty. I think you should share it. But yeah, and check out the Bulldog Mindset membership if you haven't. If you want to watch another video after this one, go watch that video that Brian must have watched about you're not an influencer. I think that's useful as well. So